Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary-Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, longtime organizer, first-time radio host. As I'll always say, I've got plenty of time to say this. I can say that I've only been doing this for a short period of time, so all of my missteps and mishaps can be blamed on my rookie status. Ain't that right, Frank? So, with that, we're, obviously having a conversation about unions and how we connect to working people and making sure that the community understands this collective here. Something I haven't talked about is the new KCAA app. This is KCAA 1050 AM and 106.5 FM. The stations we can be listened to live, but you can also listen live on the KCAA app. That's been pretty good engagement, and we appreciate that that technology is going to help us out. Last week's show. We start off the show by talking a little bit about a recap of last week's show. We had Chief Muncy on. He did a great job of explaining the fire district, the scope of the fire district, and all the different things that the fire district does. And, it goes beyond just fighting fires, and I think people really got a better understanding and a deeper appreciation for how much work that support staff, firefighters do, all that infrastructure around fire safety, fire suppression, and essentially safety in San Bernardino County, which is, it's enormous, right? It's larger than 6 other states geographically, and he said you can put the 3 smallest states together and still fit within the geographical borders. That sometimes we forget how big San Bernardino County is. It's immense, and they're facing a ballot measure W that if it passes, $46 million a year will be cut from their budget, and clearly that's something that is not a good thing, especially when it comes to response times in a lot of rural areas, or even in San Bernardino itself, and some of the other areas that you think you're not going to get negatively impacted. And I think it was a good show to talk about all of the different elements of what the fire district does. We really appreciate Chief Muncy coming on. The week before, we had Letty and Alicia come on, who worked for the fire district, and got to hear about their jobs. They did support work, so it was great to tie all that stuff together. We also had Citrone on, a Teamster Advantage partner, a restaurant in Redlands, and I really want to do a shout out to them. They squeezed me in on Valentine's Day. My wife and I were able to get in, and we had an amazing dinner. Their pork chops were great. Their veal was great. All their appetizers were great, and I forgot how great their appetizer was when we met with them last week, and we talked about their food, specifically their garlic bread, their garlic cheese bread. Oh my God! I mean, just like unbelievable. And there was gnocchi. It was like it melted in your mouth, and it was just all the food was amazing. It was just a reminder how great that restaurant is. It's a favorite of a lot of people here in Redlands, and I also was corrected. And you can come on in, Don. Go ahead and sit down. Like we got our guest that we're gonna have at the back side of the hour just walked in on us and interrupted us. It's okay, Don. I'm just giving you a hard time. But yeah, Citrone. I realized I've been mispronouncing it. I was saying Citrones with an S, and I got corrected a couple times last week, so I'll make sure that from now on I pronounce it correct. It's Citron. And again, great food, great Teamster Advantage partner, great atmosphere when you go to dinner there, and obviously Teamster members and part of the Teamster Advantage network, our members get a 10% discount when they go to obviously partake in food at Citron. So we really appreciate that. Next part of my show is for us to get into the 3 Teamster jobs. Many of you probably watched the Super Bowl, and for those of you that don't know, which is probably almost all of you listening, if you looked at the field, all of your field maintenance people that make sure that field itself is taken care of and groomed and maintained are all Teamsters. Those are Teamsters from Teamsters Local 631. So you all got to watch how great Teamsters are at making sure that field is taken care of at Allegiant Stadium there in Las Vegas. And it takes them approximately 6 hours to roll the field in from the outside, because it's natural grass and it's taken care of outside and then rolled in on like a huge machine that's got these big rollers, and all of the staff that takes care of. I mean, imagine taking a football field and rolling it. That's what they do. It's just it's incredible what these Teamsters do, and you got to see it firsthand live last Sunday. I don't want to make anybody mad, but I'm so glad that the Chiefs beat the Niners just because I just don't like the 49ers. So go Chiefs. I'm now a Chiefs fan. Everybody gives me a hard time because they say I'm a bandwagon jumping, or I jump from team to team. No, I actually just root for who beats the teams I don't like when it comes to football. The next job may surprise you, and if it doesn't surprise you, try to appreciate them, because this is a really tough job. School bus drivers. Most of your school bus drivers are Teamsters. Most of your school bus drivers that work for either cities, and then a lot of actually municipal drivers as well. But school bus drivers, you got to really hand it to school bus drivers. You got a bunch of kids on. I remember myself at that age when I rode the bus. I mean, I can't imagine having to deal with me, and then having a whole bus full of me's when I was that age. So. Let's shout out to the school bus drivers. They do a great job of taking care of they're very patient. They take care of our kids on that ride. They're typically very patient with them, and they do a great job of caring for our children as they're going to and from school or events or, field trips and all the other different things that they do. So good shout out to them. That's a tough job. I really appreciate the work you do. Here's another one, a little known fact here. Del Monte canned fruits and vegetables, as well as the produce distribution, is all handled by Teamsters. So when next time you're in the grocery store and you see Del Monte canned fruit and vegetables, those are Teamster jobs. And those are 630 members, and many of those members have worked in the cannery industry their entire life. They enjoy a good Teamster pension and retiree medical. So when you go to a grocery store and you see the Del Monte canned fruit or sticker on fresh produce, remember, thank a Teamster, and try to buy that first. Don't buy the cheaper one, buy the good one, because we know that those workers are being taken care of. We know they got retirement plans. We know they got good health care. And instead of sometimes, saving 10 cents on a can of fruit or vegetables, let's make sure we take care of those who take care of us. And so with that, I'll transition into current labor news. I think the biggest thing that we can highlight right now is strikes have hit a 23-year high according to the Labor Department. And so say, why is that a great thing to celebrate? Well, I think that what it demonstrates is that there's a lot of challenges that are happening for workers, and workers, you can't put them in a situation where, first of all, you minimize the value of their job, one. Two, you put them in a situation where healthcare is unaffordable, and then there's not a lot of pathways to retirement. And so when you see industries have shifted from having a lot of good jobs, good middle-class jobs, to then moving into, let's say, temporary contingent workforce being subcontracted out, you see a very massive expansion of that and a reduction in really good long-term jobs that are going to stay in the community. and provide for good middle class wages for people to buy homes, for people to buy vehicles, and be very connected to their community economically, and that the money circulates through an economy in a very positive way. And so we can see statistically where wages have sagged for a very long time, specifically in the private sector. And as a result of those wages sagging, I mean, think about it. I had to correct somebody that was running for Congress the other day at a meeting I spoke at a week and a half ago. They were talking about warehouses being transitional jobs, or warehouse work not being, they were comparing it to, let's say, a fast food job. And the reality is there's an argument to say that working in a fast food restaurant shouldn't be a transitional job. Aside from that, me growing up, that was a job that you did when you were in your teens, and then you worked to go some other direction. But warehouse jobs are jobs in transportation, which is the primary vehicle of jobs here in the Inland Empire. When those are devalued down to a level in which, when you work in those operations, you can't even buy a home in the area, something's wrong. And it's not just in the IE, it's in all parts of the country. And when you have devalued jobs to that level, workers are going to say, hey, wait a minute, what can we do to get this back to square? What can we do to deal with that? And that's clearly usually where labor disputes start to happen. Now, so everybody understands you don't just run around having labor disputes all the time. They need to be entered into, very cautiously, and in a way in which everybody understands the process and recognize the two sides to this dispute are completely at odds and won't get to a resolution. And workers in this country have a right to withhold their labor if they feel that is not fair, that the exchange for their time is not fair. Many will say, well, just move on and get another job. Well, guess what? We can look back statistically and we can see the last 40 years they've been treated that way, and as a result, wages have sagged tremendously because the attitude was, just go find another job. Well, the Inland Empire shows us that there are plenty of those jobs. The problem is there's not plenty of good jobs, because when I first started working in a warehouse when I was in my teens, those jobs were good middle-class jobs, and you could buy a home as soon as, I was 18, 19, 20 years old. I qualified to purchase a home, purchase a car. And now you go into those jobs, and those jobs don't pay enough on average, unless they're a union warehouse. If they're a union warehouse, you make enough money to buy a home. You make enough money to be able to anchor down in the community and not have to bounce around from job to job. So the reason why, and at least in my opinion, strikes have hit a 23-year high according to the Labor Department, is because of those pressures that have happened. And quite frankly, too many of the big businesses and the big corporations have kind of gotten away with murder. And they have been able to push down those wages and devalue jobs. And at the end of the day, we need to make sure that there's a fair enough balance, because the more people that are earning enough money to buy homes and to buy goods and services in a particular area, that money circulates through the economy, the local economy, and small businesses do well, and Teamster Advantage partners do well, and people are able to go to concerts and all those other good things, and have extra activities and go on vacations. And so, the surge in strike activity represents a major rebound from the decline from post-2020. And, as a result, you saw a sag in that, and there wasn't a lot of the activity, and now that activity is increased. And it appears to be that education and health services sector has accounted for the majority of the work stoppages. You see a lot of workers that are in healthcare. You see a lot of workers that are in service industries that, it's a tough job. You're dealing with the public, or you're dealing with especially in healthcare, you're dealing with people's lives. And, they want to make sure that their time is valued. They want to make sure that not just your time is valued today, but is your time valued to the point of retirement? Where do we pull the trigger on retiring? Is it, I have to work till I'm 75? Especially if you use the Inland Empire as an example, with hundreds of thousands of warehouse jobs, those jobs break your body down. And if you work in that job your entire career, which many of you listening here, I know you've been working with you. We all started together when we were in our teens, and many of you are still working in those warehouses. That's very physical labor, and let's use a UPS driver. No one's ever seen a lazy UPS driver. I'd love for someone to come on the show and tell me they know a lazy UPS driver, because they really don't exist. But they hustle every day. You know, they're jumping out of the truck, they're jumping in the truck, they're grabbing packages, they're carrying this, they're carrying that, they're moving this, they're moving stuff around. And so that's that physical labor of jumping in and out of the vehicle, your ankles, your knees, your back, over and over again, decades and decades and decades. It hits you pretty hard, especially when we start getting, I'm feeling it really in my 50s now. And not that I had to do that physical labor. I actually appreciate the fact that I didn't. So, you know, those of you that did, you know, having an early retirement vehicle, or a vehicle that enables me after 30 years or, you know, 25, 30, 32, 34 years to be able to pull the plug are vehicles that should be there for working people. That it is not expecting too much, that if you dedicate a large portion of your adult life, you give up your physical body and your mind to make sure that companies are profitable, that there's a fair exchange, that not only at the time in which I'm doing the work, but there's an end game to it as well, and that I can retire in dignity, and that if I run into a health issue at the very end, that I'm not forced into poverty as a result of being able to not being able to afford the medical bills or any of the stuff around healthcare and those costs. And we can see that workers are starting to recognize this a little bit more today, actually by 20% more today than they were, let's just say, 2 decades ago. And a lot of it has to do with, let's just use the cost of healthcare for the average worker is just skyrocketed, and it's incredibly dangerous situation. I just think, you know, obviously if you're in a union, it looks very different for you, but the average person is facing these situations that then creeps in and affects the union contracts in a negative way. And you know, these workers are saying enough's enough, and they're saying, you know, we want you to be profitable, but we want to share in the wealth. And we also, it's also a lot of times, like we found with our guests on the show from the actors strike, it was about AI. It was about other things other than money. It's a lot of times it's working conditions, and it's making sure that someone's working in a safe environment and that their future is taken care of in other ways other than just what looks like in your paycheck. So workers are really coming together, and I think that it's, you know, this is something that more workers should do, more workers should talk about. And you know, we're the wealthiest country on the face of the planet. These big companies can afford to do a little more for workers. I understand some people may not want to hear me say that, but no union wants to bankrupt the other side. We just don't. We want to make sure that those organizations are operational and profitable. The argument's usually how profitable should the workers be too. and we just got to make sure there's a fair balance. And hopefully what'll happen is the issue settles down a little bit as a result of more employers doing the right thing and contributing more in this space. And so this is the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Now, Frank, I'm probably going to go to a break a little bit early, but what I'd like to do is transition into our Teamster Advantage partner before we do go to break. Maybe we'll go a little long. It depends on how talkative Andrea is. And so we have Andrea from the San Bernardino Symphony Orchestra. She's a Teamster Advantage partner. Her organization is a Teamster Advantage partner, and it's Andrea De Leon. Everybody's heard from me enough. Tell us about your organization.
Well, goodness gracious, thank you so much for having us, and thank you to your Teamsters Advantage team for even including us in such a beautiful opportunity. We want to serve the community as much as we want the community to be at concerts and enjoying life, and we kind of look at it as quality of life and why community actually, you know, works so hard. Why do we work so hard? So spend time with our families,
hopefully
right?
Have a little vacation or spend some time. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So we came on as a Teamster Advantage program partner last year. All of your members should know that they just go to our website, and when they go in and put the code TAP20, They get 20% off of all of our concerts.
20%?
Right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it pays to be a Teamster.
amazing. Yes. Pays to be a Teamster. And it pays to have a great partnership. We really appreciate you guys.
So tell us about some of the shows you guys do.
Oh, thanks so much, because we are kicking off our 2024 season, and that's why we're here, to let you know that not just the season is starting, but we're starting out on March 2nd. And really cool part that I wanted to make sure I let you guys know about March 2nd and a couple of the other concerts is that it is family friendly. It is the best night you can spend with your kids. If you thinking that you want them to visit a college campus, that's the opportunity to do it. It's at Valley College. It's in the auditorium there. A 3 o'clock 3 o'clock show and a 7:30 p.m. show. So you could do either day or evening, your choice. But this is Americana. This is an Americana show that you're not going to want to miss. This is Rhapsody in Blue, turns 100 years old. And it's going to be a phenomenal concert with an amazing pianist. And then we're also going to go into some tributes to those composers who we know today, Aretha Franklin, Tina Turner, or it's going to be Simon and Garfunkel. We're going to have a fun
This is on
day.
March 2nd.
This is on March
Oh, okay,
2nd
all right.
at Valley College on a Saturday afternoon. What are you doing? Come on out, Let's have some fun and listen to some music together. It's going to be a great time. And I'm going to go through a few others if you don't mind.
Sure, but what was your favorite show from last year?
Okay, so honestly, it's the favorite show of all time. We're already selling tickets
For this year?
For this year's Movies with the Maestro.
Okay.
It will be on October 26th. Last year was a full house. You really need to get your tickets early because it goes fast. And we encourage all kids to show up with their lifesavers.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah, because
Sounds like
this is
fun.
the music that you hear in movies. And of course, John Williams and Star Wars and Indiana Jones are just top of the list of the things that you get to listen to when we talk about symphony music. And it makes me remember to tell you that one of the things I wanted your members to know, and for any listener out there to know, is that you're practically listening to today's orchestral music all of the time. Whether you're watching movies or whether you're a gamer and you're playing your favorite game and you know that music is going on in the background and you just memorized it already, that's today's symphonic orchestra music. So
Really? All right.
yeah,
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, you're going to have fun.
We learn something new every day, and today it was on this show. That's good.
So last year's show was packed and this year's show will be again.
I see a Christmas festival, too, on the list.
We do. We have a Christmas festival every year, and another great show that will be held at the Historic California Theater of Arts, downtown San Bernardino. It's just beautiful, beautiful theater, but the sound quality is second to none. And I should just mention here, because I told you I would mention this earlier.
I've been waiting for this.
That is that we have union musicians and we have union stage hands.
Yeah.
And so everybody in there is working hard to provide this quality entertainment to everybody
But do you
around
have
here.
union bartenders? That's the question.
That's got to be a question. That's I'll have to ask them next time I buy a drink.
So I see a jazz festival in September. Mm-hmm. That
Jazz Festival, amazing concert with Ella Fitzgerald, Chet Baker. Maestro brings the best quality musicians to us, and each one of these shows are just a room filled with music that you know, music that you don't know, something to make you think a little bit. Like the Ella Fitzgerald and Chet Baker show, the first show that we have on March 2nd will include some programs and music from The Color Purple as well as from Ragtime. So just kind of some true Americana, reminiscence of some jazz that you'll all know.
That's great. So it looks like you have throughout the year you have 6 concerts, right? 6 shows, and it looks like you move the venue around. Is that correct?
We do. So last year we had 3 different sites. This year we're going to do 2 sites. So it'll transfer back and forth between the California Theater and Valley College. And our big annual concert, and your next guest actually attended our concert last year, and I think she came up on stage and the whole 9 yards.
All right,
Was,
Dawn. Yeah,
our
we had Dawn
America
Rao
the
at the end of
Beautiful
the- yeah.
was by our county supervisor. America the Beautiful. A huge concert. We probably had 2,500 people out there this past year. We expect it to exceed 4,000 people this upcoming year. It is food trucks. It is fireworks. It's a big deal to be able to take your kids on campus and to be able to walk on the football field. And it's just a fun time.
Well, Andrea, this has been great having you on. We really enjoy the partnership with all the small businesses and organizations in the region. For those that don't know, we have more than 1,000 that are connected to the system, and we advertise to all of our members for free. Obviously, this goes to even more than our members on the radio show. And we just feel like it's part of our responsibility to the community in utilizing our platform to make sure that, instead of going to Disneyland and spending $1 gazillion, you can get typically for something much more affordable, entertainment right here in our backyard, right?
Yeah, I have to remind you that you can buy tickets from $20 to $100. That's easy peasy, right? But
Is
your
$100 at the
discount,
top, right?
$100 is at the top.
You
Very top.
can't even
you
get
can
into
go to
Disneyland for
all
$100.
6 concerts for less than $160.
Oh my, that
There
is
you go,
great. It's
right?
amazing.
And no
great
parking.
for the family to be able to get together, go to an event, hang out. Great Teamster advantage. See, this is the conversation we want to have on a show like this.
Thank you.
How anything you want to close your comments out on?
I would say that the best part about it is talking about the quality. I want everybody to leave. I want to leave you with what's really important here. This is LA
Dawn,
quality.
it was amazing, right?
It was fantastic.
It's
We'll have her
fantastic.
when she comes on and she gets a mic in front of her. We're going to have her talk about
There
how,
you go.
isn't it? I always love how the show connects like this sometimes.
Right?
We're not even expecting it. Dawn comes in. She's going to show the other. She was at the last one, so now she gets to talk about being at an event that a Teamster Advantage partner just talked about.
So if I could just take a quick
Cyclical.
second and
Yes.
just say that
it's
the
my
quality
show.
of
I
music,
get to do whatever I want.
right?
I love it.
Is that maestro is Anthony Parther, and he is a world-renowned maestro and conductor. He conducted the music on the Oppenheimer movie you probably
wow.
just recently
Yeah,
saw.
yeah.
Avatar. He's amazing, and he brings quality to our region.
Yeah, that's a heavy hitter. That's
He is a
that's
heavy hitter.
great. This is the San Bernardino Symphony Orchestra. You can get tickets. Go to their website. Obviously, it's a very affordable event. Andrea, thanks for being here. You did a great job of explaining all this. Hopefully, you weren't nervous. You didn't come across as if you were. And we really appreciate the partnership. And every single week we try to make sure we have 1 or 2 Teamster Advantage partners on and celebrate the small businesses and organizations in the area. This is the Worker Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. We're going to go to break. See you on the other side of the break.
It's that time of year again. No, not the holidays. Medicare open enrollment. And if you have questions about Medicare, you should talk to the local experts. Paul Berich and Associates. Paul and his agents are certified with plans that are accepted by most of the medical groups in our area. Call 909-793-0385. Their service
All
is
Around
free.
Jumpers in Ontario would like to say thank you to all the local men and women in our armed forces who risk their lives daily to preserve our freedom and way of life. God bless America. This message courtesy of All Around Jumpers at 517 West J Street in Ontario. Trust the experts to rent your jumpers, bouncers, tents, tables, chairs, popcorn, and cotton candy machines and more. Call All Around Jumpers at 909-638-4564. That's 909-638-4564.
Was your car involved in an accident or just need help with dents? All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers. In business for over 30 years. Their highly trained staff and certified technicians and friendly staff are the best in the business and treat each car as if it was their own. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are family-owned and offer state-of-the-art equipment and tools to ensure optimum results. They use the latest technology in computerized color matching and specialize in frame repairs. With their modern laser measuring systems, they're OEM certified, and they have 4 locations to serve you. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers offer rental car assistance with free drop-off and pickup services too, and their work has a lifetime guarantee. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers are in Norco, Eastvale, Moreno Valley, and in Fontana. Call them at 1-800-61-MAGIC. That's 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Body Collision Centers. 1-800-61-MAGIC. All Magic Paint and Auto Body says, drive carefully.
KCAA.
This is Randy Corrigan with the Worker Power Hour. We have, around the back side of the hour, we have Don Rao with us, who is County Board of Supervisor, District 3, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Sometimes, I'll be honest with you, now I'm getting older, I can't remember all the districts and the this and the that, and it's, the Senate 41 and Assembly this and council this. And it's sometimes
It's a lot.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like my brain feels like a shot glass that a gallon of something's being poured into, and I just, the numbers sometimes go. So I guessed this one right. I got it right. We're happy to be joined by Don Rao. She's been a great partner for Teamsters Local 1932. She's been great to the community for a long period of time. And, we didn't start off our relationship in a way that we knew each other really well. And as time went on, I think that everybody's kind of got to know each other in a way that's been very productive. I'll get into some of that stuff in a little bit, but I really want to start. I'll let you introduce yourself and your history and all that. But man, what a great connection on our Teamster Advantage partner just now. You're sitting in, waiting in to chime in, and you were actually at a concert that our Teamster Advantage partner was talking about. How was that concert, Don?
It was truly first class. It's amazing to show up. It was my first time going, and I had no idea what we were in for. My husband was with me, and I thought, we'll just go listen to some music. I'm like, wow, this takes place in San Bernardino, and it is awesome.
That's why we have this platform is what we really want to do is encourage people to look internal, to look right here in your backyard. There's so many good things happening in our backyard. We just got to talk about them.
It was
we got to appreciate
lovely event.
What was your favorite part about it?
Seeing all the people, the kids, the families, eating dinner outside, enjoying the open air, and you feel like you're in Hollywood. I mean, it was really amazing.
It is. We're gonna call it our little Hollywood. How's that?
Yeah.
It's our show. We get to do whatever we want. So, County Board of Supervisors, that's a big deal. You're a heavy hitter in this area.
Do you know
you're
it's funny
probably
you
the most
say that?
influential person.
You say that.
You're the most influential woman in this area.
I'm just happy to serve. I had no idea what I was getting myself into.
You did not.
I did not. Nope.
Right.
No, I just show up and try to learn and work and go where I'm needed.
But you've done a great job with the role, and here's my perspective on it. Whenever I call you and I bring up an issue that's coming before you to vote on, and sometimes it directly impacts our members, and sometimes it impacts the community.
Sure.
You always listen. You give me kind of a brief explanation as to where you're at the particular moment, and you're always willing to hear more information. And the most most positive thing about you, Don, is you're always willing to change your mind with the proper information.
I will tell people I work hard, I'm accessible, and I'm open-minded, but I may not always agree. And if I don't, I'll still listen and try to figure out why I disagree or why we may not agree, and then articulate that back respectfully.
Yeah, and I'll say this, on behalf of the members we represent in the county, which is clearly, the big portion of the entire county, over 12,000. Your support on some policy stuff directly impacting the MOU for our members are game changers. And we absolutely appreciate you understanding how we approached it, because obviously when it came to the retiree medical subsidy and a lot of things, we approached it in a very unique way, in a way that didn't create additional liabilities for the county.
Sure.
And it was approached in a way that was creative in a positive way. And your support was absolutely had to be there, and it was there, and our members probably can't thank you enough for that support.
So I'll
but
tell
I
you-
can.
So, and I appreciate that. At the county, it felt like when I got there, we started with no, and then we worked our way back to how to get to yes, and trying to change that culture of, I want to say yes. I don't know how to get there, but let's start with that, and then kind of work our way back and figure out if we can't make it happen, why not? So I think that's a culture change.
And that's exactly how the conversations happened. Some of the conversations we had in the beginning of the relationship when you became board of supervisor were, well, I'm a no on a subject. It wasn't the retiree medical, it'd be something else. And it was like, okay, well, what's going to change my mind? And as we worked through and gave more information, had more dialogue, and you work even more closely with Kathleen Brennan, our
Right. president.
She calls you. You guys have a great relationship.
I know.
And we really appreciate that. By the way, she couldn't be here because there was an emergency in the county. By the way, they had a server go down, and she was
Oh,
supposed
that's a
to be
big deal.
here. Yeah, she was supposed to be here, but as usual, she rises to the occasion and makes sure that she takes care of the county. Anyway, for you to always work through it in that way, very problem solving, very pragmatic. Not always the case that we experience with electeds.
So it's fascinating. I had no idea. I had no preconceived notion what a supervisor should be like or
It's a lot of stuff.
was going to be like. So I'm just me.
Yeah.
I remember I was corrected and somebody said, don't let them call you Dawn. Let them call you supervisor. I'm like, but I'm Dawn.
But I'm done, right?
So
You're also very humble, and I think everybody appreciates that. Our members really appreciate that as well. It's a tough job being a board supervisor.
It's a lot.
I don't know why anybody would want that job.
It's a lot.
I'm telling you
We'll
right
tell
now.
you.
It's crazy what you
no,
have to deal
do.
with.
You know what? If I could share some of the stories with you over time, you would, because it's rewarding.
That's great to hear.
The people that call our office that are appreciative for the help that they've received from me or my team, they wouldn't have had that assistance if we weren't there, and that's what makes you want to get up and do the job every day.
Yeah, the reason why I say it is I think it's important for us to appreciate the difficulties of your role. I think it's not just yours, but county employees,
Yeah.
somebody, the fire district, whatever these things are. In our current society, we have really started to take things for granted that are so close to us because they were kind of automatic. We didn't have to build them.
Right.
And if you don't have to build something and create the infrastructure for it, you kind of take a lot of that for granted. The county has so much infrastructure that it's responsible for, so many services that it's responsible for, all the committees you have to sit on, all the organizations you have to interact with. It is the five of you are running and gunning in 15 different directions every single day.
Most people, I come to find out, don't care who makes the rule. They just need their problem solved. And a good maybe 60% of information or problems that come to me or my office are unrelated to the county. There are other jurisdictions that have caused a problem for someone. Could be a restaurant owner, could be just a resident that needs a pothole paved. And all of those things could be Caltrans. It could be the federal government. It could be a local city that's incorporated. And they don't care if they just know how to get in touch with us, or we're the first person that they bumped into since they had a problem. They don't want to know. They don't want us to do this. They want us to solve
Correct.
their
They don't
problem.
want to see somebody point the finger. It's not my fault. They just
So
want a problem solved.
if you call our office, we will help you. We won't tell you if it's not our pothole. We'll just get you the information that you need. And so that's where I think it comes to us to be, like, it feels good to help people. So
Yeah, you were at a meeting at our office, I think it was last week. One of the things that we're all working on right now is trying to get a grocery store into the city of Needles.
Yep.
And it's really important to get a good grocery store in that area. Most people don't realize, there's no grocery store in the city of Needles.
I
And
know.
the Rite Aid has announced that they're going to close that one up as well. And so obviously Rite Aid is not a grocery store. But the city of Needles is, if you go down into Havasu Landing, if you reach up a little bit further, you get across the border there. Not only is there over 5,000 residents in the area that need a grocery store, you have the secondary part, which is Needles grows in size because of all the weekenders, right? You got the riders, the side by sides and the desert riders, and then you get the boating that happens in the summer. And so we appreciate your partnership in that too, because there's a lot of things that a lot of us have been doing to try to catch the attention of certain grocery store chains.
Can I plug one?
Absolutely.
All right. So I left your office. I had my team send an email to Pete Van Helden over at Stater Brothers. Within
I know him.
within 10 minutes, I have an appointment with him to go. And she wanted to know what the topic was, his scheduler. And I said, I'm working with Teamsters to try to see if it's viable to get a store there. Doesn't have to be a big store. Love to have a pharmacy within the store. And if the answer is no, that's okay. But help me understand.
Well, if the answer is no, let us know. We'll go back over there.
Yeah, well, no, let's figure out why it's no. And it has to be a viable.
Absolutely.
It has to be a viable business operate. That's what they're in business to make a profit. I understand that. But at least help me understand it so that we can know what the threshold is to get a store out there if it's possible. So I have that meeting coming up. So that's great news.
Thank
and
you.
he was excited to take it when he found out the reason.
Absolutely. It's sometimes it's a matter of just connecting the right people to solve a problem. And so whether it's that, or I can tell you, Kathleen has a tremendous amount of respect for Kathleen Brennan, the president, because there's a lot of times you reach out to us and you're like, hey, we're having this challenge within the county. Can you help us with this internally?
For sure.
And it's a real, it's good communication. I have that with a number of board of supervisors, as well as other elected officials or business owners and or operators. The union environment's not this thing where we're scratching each other's eyes out all the time. It's a real partnership most of the time. We're going to get to a point where sometimes we differ adamantly. But 99% of the time, we're on the same page to solve these problems.
Oh, for sure. And a lot of it is just making sure that we have the open lines of communication. I remember at some point in the initial days of the snowstorm when we had county employees that were trapped in the mountains, are they burning leave time up there? Are they, that's not appropriate. If they can't get to work, we can't expect them. So I'm like, hey, Kathleen, I'm thinking about a dozen different things, but this needs to be one of them, and I'll get it taken care of. It might not be today, but I'm thinking about it, and we'll make it happen. So
let's talk about the snowstorm. I know that there's an election going on right now, and there's some people that want to criticize. It's always easy to throw stones at somebody when you weren't doing the work. The example I like to give is if you don't have a shovel in your hand and you're not doing the work, it's very easy to tell someone else how to operate that shovel, right?
Sure.
Understanding the snowstorm from last year and the unpredictable nature of the size, as well as some other stuff. There was a lot of preparation that went into it. There were some challenges that were presented, and us representing the members that not only helped clear the road, but also donated their time to
working
help the community.
The commodity points of distribution. Yep.
Yes. And just everybody jumping in to help out and get it done. You could always look at a very difficult situation and unpack it and say, the supervisor should have done this, or the county should have done that, or the organization should have done this. But I can tell you firsthand, dealing with the members that had that actually that work for you to deal with the crisis, everybody was doing everything they could possibly with the infrastructure to deal with the challenges that were there. And regardless of what anybody would say, I'm telling people you did a good job with that. You did the best job you could with the circumstances. That proved to be true because when the Hillary situation happened and that next storm came in September, you guys were right in front of it, clearing roads, doing certain things, fixing things emergencies didn't happen, and then clearly we got hit with some more storms here recently. So I'll shut up now and let you, because I know you got a lot of things you can pipe in on this.
So it was interesting for me. It was literally a perfect storm timing wise. I had just rotated in as the chairman of the board about 6 weeks prior, and it's in my district, but I had just taken over that district in the 1st of January from Supervisor Rutherford when she termed out. So I knew the whole Big Bear. I knew from the dam east, but from the dam west was all new to me. And so I learned what those neighborhoods were, their challenges, and I learned it in that rapid response time. It was unfortunate for me to have the role as the chairman of the board at the same time that I'm taking over the new district. So there was that for me on the front end that was a learning curve. It ended up to be a silver lining because now I know those neighborhoods ins and outs. I know the back way around. I know all the the particulars of each of the communities. But then there were things that we identified. Our Office of Emergency Services had really still been in COVID mode. They had transitioned through that. They did a great job in COVID, but then all of a sudden, here we are back to sort of a natural disaster. And it's a pivot that we didn't pivot fast enough. It's the first blizzard we've had. What does the blizzard mean? Well, we all know now.
Decades.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We know now clearly. And while we expected a storm, we didn't expect that big of a storm. And so hindsight's 20/20 for all of us. The lessons that we took, we learned. We will embed County Fire into our Office of Emergency Services right from the get-go. That will help. We helped our utility companies, which, as we look back on, I think, should we do that again? Should we not do that again? Electricity did not go out for a majority of the homeowners during the storm, which was great. However, we moved our County Public Works plows to be able to get Edison and the gas company into those downed areas because they didn't have that equipment themselves, and that caused then a delay in county
slowed
plowing.
other things
it
down.
did.
Yeah.
And then we had so much of the velocity or the downpour was such that then when they went back to the roads, it wasn't a plowing operation because of the weight of the snow. It turned into a scoop and dump, and that's a completely different operation. So as you look back, is it better that they had electricity or should we maintain the plows? The jury's still out on that, but we now have the equipment.
I'm sorry, I say you got to have the electricity to start, right? Because there's too much that's dependent on electricity in your home if you're stranded. So I think that we can second guess this till the cows come home.
I hope Edison will have some plows next time, and
it's on the bill to Edison.
Yeah,
let's have them pay a little bit.
But we procured more front end loaders and chains for the front end loaders and operators for the front end loaders.
And Edison and them, I noticed Edison and the gas company and a few of the other utilities have actually done the same thing. They put some up there as well.
They pre-position them.
Because, it's funny because taxpayers are fickle sometimes. Oh, why is that? It doesn't ever snow up here. Why is that snowplow sitting there for the last 10 years? Get rid of it. We don't need to pay for it. We don't need to do it. And then when you get rid of it.
I want it now.
Where did it go? Why did somebody sell it? That is the world you live in.
It is.
So what's one of the most favorite things about you being a county supervisor? We've got probably about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, right, Frank? 9 minutes. Oh, we got even a little bit more time. What are some of the favorite things you get to do as board of supervisors? I mean, I think you're the most powerful woman in the IE. Is there anybody?
Oh, come on.
Yes, you are.
Now.
Who?
So, I don't know, but it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter,
no,
right?
There's no...
Powerful women. We need more powerful women.
Don't you think everybody serves a purpose?
Absolutely.
Right? I'm telling you, as a Christian woman, God put me here to serve a purpose and a plan for today at this moment in time, and I'm happy to do it. You know what? If Kathleen Brennan didn't exist today, we would have a problem. We'd probably have a problem that would be blowing up my phone.
Yeah,
if she
I wouldn't
didn't
have a
exist
great
today.
partner like I do running a big organization.
I would argue she's probably the most powerful woman at the moment.
She's pretty, she's pretty darn good.
So we all serve in our different roles, but
no, but let's not downplay it, Dawn. The reason I bring it up is because it's. You bring you showed up at one of our events, a women's committee event last year that you spoke at. We had Lorena
set me
Gonzalez.
Up to have me go right after her.
Oh, it's tough to go after Lorena. Huh? Lorena came in and just rocked the building. She is.
I'm listening
so
to
powerful.
her, and as I was listening to her, I got this pit in my stomach. I'm like, Randy,
but you
set
killed
me up.
it. You did a great job of just sliding right into the conversation.
Yeah.
And that's why you did a great job. Like, for those who don't know, Lorena Gonzalez she's the head of the Labor Fed for the state of California. So she is the person who's got more power in labor in California is a woman, and she is an unbelievable speaker. She is very passionate about what she does. She does a great job of delivering a good message. You can tell she was a former legislator. She's actually a former labor leader at a certain point, so she's very well rounded. And having the two of you as well as others at our union hall talking to our members and explaining how they can get involved in the public arena to potentially run for office in the future and participate in a positive way in these things. It's just, don't downplay that. You have so much more influence than sometimes we realize.
So I don't have a fear of public speaking. I'm comfortable talking to any audience, and I mean, it's easier when you know the material that you're going to be talking about clearly, right?
True.
So I walk in and I'm listening to her. And I'm like, oh my, this is really a tough act to
she's
follow.
tough, man. She's
And then I'm
great.
sitting there and I'm like, all right, is it Beth or Randy that I'm going to give a ration to when we're done here? Because this is so not
It was
fair.
me.
Yeah. And I'm like, is this a setup? I'm like, no, it's not a setup. But it was just the way it worked out for her schedule, right? She has a tight schedule. She needed to get in. She needed to get out. And as I'm listening to her, I'm like, what the heck? What am I going to say I'm like, I can't compare myself to her. Clearly, we have different experiences and different backgrounds. I just need to share with people who I am. And it's actually, so as I'm sitting there in my mind and I'm like, all right, I got to think of a couple things that I can at least touch on. This is not going to go well. And so as I stood up, I'm like, you have a tremendous advocate for labor. And I know in the beginning, I come from a different background, a different ideological bent than, people maybe wanted to embrace in the beginning. I'm like, we should talk about that because this is how we're making good things happen.
You killed that message, and I'm looking forward to you explaining it right now.
Yeah. So she gets up there. She is, I would say, pretty liberal in her views. I tend to be more conservative in my views.
Right.
And not every Teamster is a Democrat. And so we have some conservatives. It's what makes the world go round. And if we can respect the other's views, and if we can do so with humility and compassion and understanding and open-mindedness, we really do good things for whatever it is that we're working on. Today, we're working on county and county employees, right? And businesses. So I'm like, okay, people want, in the labor world, they traditionally like to not want to embrace me because I tend to come from a more conservative view.
You're the enemy.
I know.
When
So-
you're not, but I get it.
Yeah, so that's, and I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to tell you something different, but I can explain why I feel the way that I feel. I'm open-minded to, hearing things out. And so I really felt it was important because as you work with legislators or people in governance, it's important to understand both sides. You don't have to agree, but just to have the respect for both sides, I think is exceptionally important in today's day and age, especially when you flip on the TV and you're listening to the awfulness that is national politics. And I don't want to listen to it. It doesn't
Right.
motivate me.
More
So-
can be done with local politics than any of the
Yeah.
national stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what we appreciate about the relationship. You told the story. I don't know if you could do it quickly because we only got 3.5 minutes. But about how, you got to meet the Teamsters, and then you turn out and you meet Kathleen, who's the president of the Teamsters, and you're like, it really shattered your whole view of because the narrative that's made about us is very different.
Oh, for sure.
Than what the truth is.
Well, and to meet you, I'm like, okay, he's 12 feet tall and completely intimidating. There's Mr. Clean standing there, I'm like, oh. I would say that you don't come off as a teddy bear when you first meet you.
Yes.
No.
3 minutes.
So,
You telling me I'm not warm and fuzzy?
no, you grow to be warm and fuzzy, but maybe not in the initial 30 seconds of
Just ask
meeting
my
you.
staff how warm and fuzzy I am. I'm just kidding.
No, you grow to love you, but it's that first year, it's the visual. I'm like, oh, wow. So there was that intimidating factor. But Kathleen and I started off, she says, I have a problem. She articulated the problem. I'm like, wow, that would be a problem for me too. It doesn't matter what your political party is.
That's
a
correct.
human problem. And it was a working condition issue. I'm like, that's not fair. It's not right. We should change it. So I gave her my cell phone. I'm like, listen, I'm an early riser. She's like, so am I. I'm like, well, can you just call and text me early in the morning before the day gets wild? And we've had that relationship ever since.
Yeah, it's been great. Being able to have the connection and the conversation and not having preconceived, boundaries
Right.
or opinions. And, as a board of supervisor, it's important to always, you touched on it, is to have that empathy and trying to understand as much as you can about what's coming at you, because you can solve the problem if you have empathy, you can really solve the
for
problem.
sure.
And to hear you describe it that way is very appreciative. So, we really appreciate you coming on the show.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
And we, we don't agree on everything. There's obviously a lot of stuff that, we can argue about. But we've just found more success trying to occupy the space where we can agree, where we can solve problems, where we differ. We got to keep, having those discussions until we kind of push ourselves into the space of solving it. Especially if it's a bigger problem or a problem that's about to arise.
I agree.
And you are the most powerful woman. I would say, Kathleen's the second most powerful woman. Maybe you think she's the first. Cool. Maybe she's the most powerful woman.
I think
because
she is.
Kathleen is phenomenal. She would love to. I got 1 minute. She would love to have been here, but can't because obviously she takes great pride in making sure she does a good job for the county.
She does too. So
And she's just to have her as the president of Teamsters 1932. I couldn't be more proud for her to be our president.
I will tell you, it is an honor to me. Every Teamster I've met has been very gracious and respectful to me, and we've learned so much working together. I shared this message before, but I'm only going to do this for maybe 4 more years, 5 if you count this year. We need to find the next person that wants to run for supervisor. Yeah. So if I can do it, anybody can do it.
That's right. That's another show. I got less than 30 seconds. They're going to transition me. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. What are you doing to build worker power? Make sure you talk to your family, your friends, and your neighbor. Longtime organizer, first-time radio host. Signing off.
NBC News on